Good afternoon and welcome to the Chatham Select Board May 11th, 2021 meeting. This is a remote participation only meeting. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify me. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 23, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Chatham Select Board is being conducted via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 134-208-476#, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Channel 18, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. So before we go forward, I just ask that you please mute your audio until the proper time to speak. And also, in order for us to have a more meaningful exchange with you at the time you are speaking, and if you are able, please activate your camera. And at any other time you walk away from your computer, please feel free to disable your video. Thank you. And so we will start off with a roll call of the Select Board. And I will start off with Board Member Kokolas.
Present.
Board Member Metters.
Present.
Board Member Dykens.
Present.
Board Member Nicastro.
Present.
And I'm present. We have a full quorum tonight. All right. Our first item tonight is, as usual, is a motion to approve the meeting minutes. We have two tonight, April 27th and 28th. So I'll accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 27th.
So moved.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Okay. Are there any edits? Nothing? Okay, great. Let's take a vote. Peter.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
And the chair says aye. All right. Second motion to approve the joint meeting with the Orleans Park Commissioners on April 28th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any edits or additions?
Madam Chair, I have one.
Okay.
On page 4, at the very bottom, the last line, there's a quoted phrase there, to make each town whole. I think the phrase on Nauset Beach needs to be inserted just before the word to. That's what my notes indicated and my memory served as well. I did not check the video archive, but I think that's what was removed.
Right. Okay. Anything else from anybody else? Okay. A vote to accept the meeting minutes as amended. Let's take a vote. Peter.
Aye.
Corey.
Abstain.
Jeff.
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
And the chair says aye. So the motion passed 4 with 1 abstention. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to public announcements and agenda item requests. So really sad one for the town today. It's with sadness I mentioned the passing of our former selectman, Richard Costello. Richard served 1 year as a selectman in 1987. And that's when the Chatham went from a 3-person full-time board to a 5-person part-time board. And then he served in 1993 on the Public Ceremonies Committee. Notably, and until recent, everybody knows that Richard was the co-owner of the Chatham Squire. His legacy of building a flagship business in the town of Chatham, downtown Chatham, as an employee to a few generations of workers and a benefactor to many Chatham and Cape causes will be forever remembered. Anyone who knew Richard knew he was a best friend to Chatham and its community. So our sincere condolences go to his wife, Anne Marie, his family, as well as his extended Squire family and friends. And then another disappointing, different note. is it's also with a lot of disappointment that I announced that Article 17, the purchase of property at 2377 Main Street, will not move forward at town meeting. The owner has signed an offer to purchase with an abutter for the sale of his property. There are a number of reasons why people want to buy property in Chatham, and our efforts to create more affordable and attainable housing are in steep competition with them. The town is bound, obviously, and mired to certain processes that tie our hands. And it is time we, the community, I really strongly feel, the housing advocates out there, create a formal private entity to work to secure properties for affordable and attainable housing, like what occurred with the property on Kroll Road. It's the only way we're going to stem the tsunami that's happening here. And I'm saying this as a serious call to action. So saying that, I will ask my fellow board members if anybody has a public announcement or agenda item request. Okay,
Madam
yes,
Chair,
go ahead.
I'm not sure if this is in the nature of it's certainly not an agenda item request, but it's a request, and I'll frame it as an announcement. We mentioned last week, and I think it's going to come up later in the agenda, that the town's AAA bond rating was reaffirmed in the most recent bond issue that's going to take place. There is an interesting 8-page summary put together by Standard & Poor's. It's in the packet, so it's publicly available. I'd like to request that if we're permitted to do so, I know there's a disclaimer at the end of it about dissemination, but if permitted, I think that should be sent to each individual member of the Finance Committee and the Summer Residence Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. I'm sorry. All right, my apologies. All right, thank you, Dean. All right, any other board members? Peter?
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is also a comment. We were all on the Monomoy Regional School District Forum last Thursday. I just comment that there were a large number of people that were on there. We had a number of Chatham residents and families that participated. I think that it would behoove everyone in this town, if they could, to watch that. It's on the Monomoy Regional School District committee website. You go to the agendas, and it's under that. I thought that some of the arguments that were brought and the stories that were told are important for all of us to understand. And their arguments, I think a lot of them were compelling. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Peter. Any others from the board? Any staff? Okay, Ryan Damon. Ryan?
Thank
Go
you,
ahead,
Madam Chair.
Thanks.
Ryan Darman, IT Manager. I'd like to announce that the town is now accepting volunteers to join a test group for the new updated website. Anyone can join by navigating to the Town of Chatham homepage, which is chatham-ma.gov, and by clicking on the website test group button, which is under the Chatham Action Center. This links to a form with more information and the ability to submit your email, the devices used, and an area for any questions. Users will be given various tasks like finding subpages or documents, and also given the opportunity for comments and suggestions. All this will be done digitally, and we will be accepting volunteers until the end of May, and instructions will start being sent out next week on a rolling basis. And also, just for your information, the website is scheduled for launch on June 21st. So thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. That's fun. That'll be a fun project for people in the town to go in and navigate through. So
we already got 15 signed up.
Oh, great.
So,
how many do you need? Do you have a hard number of how many folks you need to volunteer?
The more the better. I mean,
okay.
Bigger sample would be better.
Okay.
So yeah, as many as possible. So
Super.
Spread the word. Jill and Sean already helped spreading the word. I think that's why we had 15 already since yesterday. But we'll keep trying to get the word out there.
Good.
Super. Good. All right. Thank you. That's exciting. The website. Okay. Are there any public participants that would like to make an agenda item request or a public announcement? Okay. I'm not seeing any this evening. All right. So a quick review of our of our meeting tonight, we have new business. We have the coronavirus update and from Dr. Bob and from Jill. Public comments allowed during that. And then we'll go to public comment for our business agenda items, which are a Chamber of Commerce update, downtown parking, Main Street and Hallett Lane, the floating dock at the O'Mill Boatyard, our general obligation bond award, and consider committee appointments to the Conservation Commission. Then we will convene the Affordable Housing Trust Fund trustees for a meeting that we will not return back to open session. Okay, all right. So saying all that, we will welcome Dr. Duncanson for our coronavirus update. Welcome, Dr. Bob.
Good evening, and thank you, Madam Chair. So for tonight's COVID-19 update, right now in Barnstable County, we have 13,719 cases. And just interestingly enough, in the past week, we've had 118 cases in the last week. So we've averaged about 16 cases a day, which is down significantly from what we were seeing, last fall, winter, and the beginning of this year, when we had the post-holiday surge and then the mini surge that the Cape experienced. So that is great news. We have 463 deaths reported in Barnstable County since the beginning of the pandemic. And that is an increase of none from the previous day and only one from last week. So in the past week, we've only seen one death in Barnstable County. And also, I think of significant note this afternoon when the state reported their daily update. For the first time in a long time, the state reported no COVID-19 related deaths in today's daily public health report. So that is another indication that things are moving in the right direction. In Chatham, we've had 322 cases since the pandemic began. And let me share my screen here. And I'll show you the latest graphic. Hopefully everyone can see that. So we've had 322 cases since the pandemic began. We've only had 2 cases so far in May. And considering that we're already at the 11th, so about a quarter of the way through the month, that is significant. In fact, the data for May of 2021 barely shows up here at the very bottom, and is really about where we were last May, in May of 2020, when the pandemic really was just, kind of getting its steam behind it. We've had no new deaths in Chatham recently. The last death that we had recorded in Chatham was back in March, and we're still holding at 30 deaths among Chatham residents or folks attributable to the town of Chatham. Let me share my screen again. I'm not going to bother showing the age demographic that I usually show, but I do want to show the statewide figures for new cases. Just to reiterate once again, for the last couple of weeks, we've been reporting that it's really the 20 to 29-year-olds and the 30 to 39-year-olds where we are seeing the vast majority of cases. So this is data from the state's most recent, which is last week, 15,000 cases, a little over 15,000 cases reported. And as you can see, roughly 19% were in the 20 to 29-year-old demographic. And we had about 16% in the 30 to 39-year-old demographic. And then it drops off in either direction. And the interesting thing to note is basically folks 70 and older now account for less than 2% of all the cases, which is another reflection of the efficacy of the vaccine efforts that have been going on since the beginning of January. And then just quickly, this is our average daily incident rate in Chatham. This is, as of last week. You can see that we had that spike in January and into February. We had the other spike in early April with the attributed to the Brazilian variant here on Cape Cod, sorry. And then a fairly precipitous drop there. And again, we saw a little bit of a spike last week, but I don't think that's going to continue into this week. So Chatham has now been in the gray zone, which is the lowest of the 4 categories of the state for 3 weeks in a row, which continues to be great news. And then just the final graphic here is our vaccinations. And as we've been doing the last couple of weeks, basically showing you 2 graphs. The upper one is the most recent one as of last Tuesday. This data always comes out on Thursday, and it's always the previous Tuesday. So it's a little bit outdated by the time we show it here, but it's, you know, it's the most up to date we have. So we have May 4th graph on the top, and then April 27th, the prior week below that. And you can see the vaccine percentages among our various per capita groupings continues to improve, you know, not quite as quickly as we were seeing a little bit earlier. You know, we are getting into that vaccine hesitancy period, but as everybody knows, vaccine is now pretty much widespread. And for most of the clinics, in fact, all the clinics on Cape Cod, you no longer need to make an appointment. You can make an appointment, but you can also just do walk-ins. And in fact, the state announced today that Gillette Stadium, previously only 6 of the 7 mass vaccination sites were available for walk-ins, but effective today, Gillette Stadium was also added to that list of mass vaccination sites. So I continue to urge people to go to massvaxfinder.org. There is a look this afternoon just prior to this meeting, and there continues to be widespread availability for a vaccine throughout Cape Cod. You know, CVS, Walgreens, Barnstable County, vaccine clinics that are coming up, vaccine clinics being run by Cape Cod Healthcare at the community college, as well as other locations. So there is a real, you know, surplus, if you will, of vaccine right now, considering what, you know, where we were back in January and February when vaccine supply was extremely tight. And then just one other thing relative to vaccine, I'm sure everybody has heard, but if not, yesterday the FDA approved the Pfizer vaccine under its emergency use authorization for those individuals 12 to 15 years old. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices is meeting tomorrow. They will be making their recommendation along a similar line to the CDC. So we anticipate that probably by Thursday, that vaccinations for 12 to 15-year-olds using the Pfizer vaccine will be approved, and then we'll wait for Mass DPH to also approve it as well, and then folks can go ahead and get their adolescents vaccinated. You are able to sign up individuals 12 to 15 years old. Currently, you can pre-register them on the state's website. So I urge people to go ahead and do that. So as soon as the vaccine gets state approval to be used in that age demographic, folks will be basically first in line. But that will be also significant. And then Pfizer and Moderna is also working on that age group, as well as both have clinical trials underway for individuals as young as 2 years old. That will probably be coming out later this summer, but hopefully in time to get those children all vaccinated before the start of the school season. So I think with that, that's all I have to report today, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bob. Couple of questions, and then we'll talk about the parade and community forum stuff. The mask issue seems to be pretty, we seem to be getting a lot of comments about the mask. The Board of Health obviously listened to the business community downtown and in what they felt was a strong, you know, a strong request to continue the mask mandate. I just heard today that Harwich voted to maintain their mask mandate on their main street as well.
Yep.
So we're not a one-off on this issue. But, you know, I just was wondering, when we heard from you before on this, is the Board of Health on their regular meetings going to bring it up to as an agenda item topic each time that they meet? so that we can have a regular update, or are they just have a certain schedule they want to wait and see for a period of time?
No,
Do you
they're going
know?
to continue. They're going to continue to touch base on it at every meeting.
Okay.
And in all honesty, it wasn't just the business community that the board
Mhm.
listened to, as I'm sure you folks are all aware. And the governor's most recent update to the mask order, masks are required outdoors where social distancing cannot be maintained. And
Right.
so the board felt very strongly at the 4 locations in their emergency order: Main Street between the Rotary and School Street, the Fish Pier observation deck, the lighthouse overlook and stairs to the beach, not the beach itself, but just the stairs going down to the beach, and then the transfer station. That the board really felt that those areas, because of the influx of visitors and the heavy foot traffic, they were areas where social distancing could not be maintained. They obviously did get some input from the business community supporting that as well.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Bob from the board? Dean?
Yeah, just to comment on that issue, and I appreciate that. I'm very appreciative that the Board of Health is going to continue to look at this issue on a regular basis and not just when it's formally scheduled. And I think they're, for the benefit of the public, I think they're just working within the parameters and restrictions that the governor has set. I personally believe the governor is moving too slowly in reopening the state. I know he's talking about opening it on August the 1st. I'd like to see it done sooner, but I think until that happens, we have to deal with what we have. And I think the board, made a prudent decision, and it's somewhat comforting to hear that Harwich has done the same. But I look forward to the day when we're all opened up. Thank you.
Okay. Any other board members have a comment or question for Dr. Bob? Okay. Before we get to the public, I wanted to just say that we did receive a letter from the Independence Day Parade Committee. They would like to request that the 2021 Independence Parade officially be switched to a virtual format. And I know they're on a timeline. The Board of Health at its meeting on May 3rd, 2021, discussed the feasibility and ability to have a safe parade this summer during the ongoing COVID pandemic. And the board unanimously voted to recommend the select board that the parade be canceled this summer. And I think some of the challenges are in the language around that mandate. Bob, do you recall how it was worded? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I believe it was a parade can occur if there's a 50% capacity rule. And I was, in talking with the town manager and talking with you and talking with other people, it's like that's nearly resource impossible to achieve. And so tonight we have the opportunity, if we want, I think if Dean thinks that he would probably know the rules better than I about whether we could vote on this or not, but it is included in our packet, whether we should move forward with a decision tonight so that the parade committee, the business community, people visiting the Chatham for the summer could make a good decision about what they would like to be doing for the, about what we're doing for the summer. Dean?
Yes, since you brought up my name, yeah, I think we can take a vote tonight. It's on the agenda, virtual July 4th event. I don't know if the chair of the committee is present, but I certainly would support their recommendation. Did the Board of Health also make a recommendation?
Yes.
On
Yes.
Yes, they did. They voted unanimously to support their decision. Corey, you serve on the parade committee as our liaison. Do you have any further information?
The parade committee, along with myself and the Chief Paulina, met about a week and a half ago, and the committee would very much like to return to a live parade, but after discussing and with the recommendation of Chief Paulina, with the 50% caveat of how do you handle that in Chatham, it's really not capability of maintaining a safe parade with staffing, etc., is just a tall task for this year. So they made the recommendation, thus the letter in our packets and our discussion tonight. But the members would very much love to return to a live parade as soon as possible, but they understand that there's certain hurdles this year that we still are facing.
Great. Okay, and all right, and so I'll accept a motion on this if anybody wants to make that motion. Any, go ahead,
Sure.
Jeff.
Yeah, sure. I move to cancel the live parade this year and support the Independence Day Committee's recommendation of having a virtual parade, and in support of the Board of Health recommendation as well.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, second from Dean. All right, any comments from the remote participants or questions on this motion? And then we'll go back to the other comment if there is any. Okay, I'm not seeing any, so we shall take a vote. All right, Dean,
Aye.
Corey,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
and chair says aye. All right, another matter before we go to the public for any comments for Dr. Bob is we've been talking about doing a community forum on the COVID-19 protocols in town. And as we started to look at what we wanted to try to address, we were sort of looking at back a year ago. I think it was even a year ago tonight, or that we had that. I think, Jill, it was that we had that community forum. But as we started to go down the laundry list of things to address, it was clear that a lot of things like the sales on town property at the community center for arts and crafts sales, the parking restrictions at Schoolhouse Pond, one-day entertainments for Monday on Main. We can address a lot of this either in an upcoming select board or a joint select board and either Board of Health or Park and Rec committee. But Shauna had sent out an email asking you to give it some thought over the weekend, whether you thought there was any additional things that we couldn't address over as a select board, that we would need to have a community forum. Just, Dean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thought about this. I don't really think we need to have a formal community forum, but what I would suggest in lieu of that is a future agenda item that's devoted generally to the reopening of the town and dealing with where we are with respect to the pandemic, and to which we would invite the Board of Health and for which we would allow contemporaneous public comment. That would be my suggestion, rather than something billed and proposed as a formal community forum apart from a regular board meeting. I don't know how my other colleagues feel.
Okay, Jeff, you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, I would echo that. I would echo that. I think it's probably a little bit more efficient, and it's included in one of our nightly agendas. I mean, if we're going to wear masks downtown, if we can't be socially distanced, then that can be applied in a lot of places. So I think that rule, if you can't socially distance and you're in a crowded area, you wear a mask. I think gets us by a lot. I mean, I think of the band concert for one thing that we're going to miss, I think, but they haven't been practicing, I don't think, but that's one issue. Right in the park, you should happen, but you got to wear a mask. If you can't be socially distanced, you got to wear a mask. You're downtown, and that's what you got to do.
Okay. All right, well, that was okay. Yeah. Corey?
No, I'm perfectly fine with that. I would only maybe suggest that we coordinate with the various staff liaisons, so like Park and Rec as an example, and see if they want to, depending on when we have this agenda item scheduled and when they meet, if they have any input on any area that they would have some jurisdiction over. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with proceeding in that manner and just getting input from our various boards and committees and the public, of course. Thank you.
Okay, great. Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. No, I'll just echo what everyone else said. My thought was, we're in it's a different environment now. We're a lot smarter than we were before, but I agree with Corey. That was my comment, is that we need to get Parks and Recs, what's going to happen with the community center, a number of other areas, and make it just as Dean has proposed, a formal agenda item. Thank you.
Okay. I think we have clear direction on that, Jill, correct? Okay, good. All right.
You're muted.
Muted yourself.
Yeah, sorry. Before we move over to Jill, are there any public participants that, remote participants that would like to questions or comments for Dr. Bob? Okay, we don't have any this evening. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your time tonight.
All right, thank you.
Probably see you later on. Okay, an update from our town manager, Jill.
Thank you. I don't have anything else to update, but I just wanted to note, though, that it appears that the band concerts aren't going to start until after August 1st. So that was a decision that they had made.
Great. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So now we're going to move on to our public comment section. And this is where the public, obviously, can comment on our business agenda items, which will be board discussion items. We have the Chamber of Commerce, Art in the Park, and a chamber report. Downtown Main Street, Hallett Lane parking, a request for change to temporary parking restrictions. The floating dock at Old Mill Boatyard, our general obligation bond award, and our consideration for a committee appointment, which we usually don't have comment on anyway. So is there anybody wishing to, of the remote participants wishing to comment on those items? Okay, I don't hear anybody or see anybody with their hand raised. Okay, then we're going to move on to the Chamber of Commerce, Art in the Park, and the Chamber report update, proclamation of business. And this is with Mary Kavanaugh, the Chamber Director, and I believe Susan Dim, who is the Merchants President. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, hold on, Mary. Go ahead, Corey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for protocol, I just want to make a disclosure for, I guess, items A and B. For those who are not aware, I am both a downtown merchant and a member of the chamber. But I believe these two topics are broad enough that I will be participating. But I just want to be clear and disclose my status. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Corey. All right, thank you, Mary. Go right ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Hello, everyone. Yeah, for the update on Art in the Park, Susan Dim, our Merchants Board President, is on, and also, I believe, Janice Rogers, who is the chair of the Art in the Park event. She's on the call as well. Okay. So, Janice, I'm thinking maybe you might be the one to go over what the plans are for this year. If you're there, I think you're there.
I'm here. Oh, I got it. Okay, I was having trouble unmuting. Sorry. I guess first of all, thank you for letting us bring this before you. And I'd like to start with the fact that we did go before Parks and Rec last week, and they gave us approval to basically do a similar program to what we did last year. We plan to install the whales on June 25th. They will be in the park until August 20th, and we plan again to arrange them in what we called pods at the time, so that it encouraged social distancing. They will not be, pushed any further back into the park, so that if band concerts start up, it shouldn't interfere. We also considered keeping them, maybe a 5 or 6 foot buffer at least away from the sidewalk, so that when band concerts start, there's more room for people to, walk down through the center of the park without getting, interfering with the whales. We will be installing cameras again, and we will have signage to encourage social distancing once again. And there's also consideration I have not yet looked into. We had light poles that the town, I think DPW installed them a couple years ago on the library lawn. Now that we have electricity in the park, we may install them again, just so that we have better lighting late at night. We do have the issue that this year there might be possibly more rambunctious people running around later at night, because places will be open later. And I will be having the gentleman who tests the ground and marks it for any electrical wiring now that the park's been wired, so that people aren't installing wheels and sticking poles into live wires. Mary, I don't know, what am I forgetting?
I think you've got everything that you had mentioned to me in our conversation earlier. So I think that was everything.
Again, we hope to be able to have a successful event that people can enjoy and continue to social distance.
Okay, thank you, Janice.
We also have the
You're
Oars
welcome.
in the Stores that starts May 28th, and that will go through Labor Day.
Hold on, Sue. I just want to recognize you as Sue Dim, so we know who's speaking, okay?
Yeah, thanks.
You got to go through the chair, Sue.
The
Go ahead, Susan.
people in the park will be October 15th through the 31st, and Oktoberfest tentatively is October 23rd, again, depending on COVID numbers.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Jill, I don't know if this has come up from somebody. I can't remember who asked me about this, but do we have a reseeding or restitution sort of, like a sort of invigorating the area where the traffic is for where the whales are? Does the park department go in and reseed that? How do we deal with that?
Yeah, we've had a discussion about it, and I don't believe there's any irrigation there except for a hose in front at the sidewalk. So I'll follow up with Dan Tobin, because I know we had a conversation with the Chamber Beautification Committee about that. I just don't recall exactly what's planned.
Okay. Dean, question? Unmute, please, Dean. Thank you. Nope, you're muted again, Dean. I'm sorry.
Happening. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I was just going to mention, apropos of that topic, that in the past, when the Sharks in the Park was on the library grounds, the Merchants Association actually funded the reseeding of the library lawn after. I mean, there was considerably more traffic on, and because the displays were larger. And more people involved. For what that's worth, I just thought I'd mention it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments from the board? So, Mary, you're asking us to vote for tonight. You want us to vote approval of the art in the park in downtown. Do we? If Park and Rec has approved this, do we have the jurisdiction to approve this? I mean, don't we typically? I guess that's my question. How we've done this.
It was more of a courtesy due to COVID last year, so we thought we'd do it again.
Yeah, we just wanted to let you know what our plans were.
Okay. Okay. All right. So
I think what happened was in the past. I'm sorry to just.
Go ahead, Janice.
But we've always only had to get permission from Parks and Rec, and last year, because of COVID, we were asked to go before the select board, and we're doing it now again as a courtesy.
Okay, got it. Corey?
No, I was just going to ask a quick question. I mean, I'm extremely supportive of this program. It's been going on, and I continue to support it. But wouldn't we be approving this under sale of goods on town property, since these items are auctioned off for charity? I don't know if I'm splitting hairs. I'm just throwing this out there as more of a question. I mean, I would approve it regardless, but.
We're not allowed to sell on town property. You're not allowed to sell.
The ruling is, sorry,
The
the
auction-
ruling, I believe the word, I'm sorry.
The auction is an
Language,
online.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Right, and I believe the language is just that money cannot be exchanged within the confines of the park.
That's fine. Whatever process moves us forward, I'm comfortable with.
Well, it's becoming quite a flagship. I'm using the term flagship again, but quite an event that's sort of branded for Chatham, which is great. Shauna just texted me and said no sales occur on town property, so that's the language that's in there. So anyway, I guess thank you for the update, and we wish you really well with this. I know that this is a really profitable fundraiser for you, and you're creating a lot of awareness around our art community, and as well as the environment around us with the subjects that you guys choose. Installation art is so much fun. Really, really enjoy it. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So back to Mary, who's going to do a chamber report update and has a request for a proclamation for business.
Thanks,
Mary.
Madam Chair. Yeah, so I just wanted to circle back when Susan and I came before you probably about a month or so ago. We laid out some things that we had going on. So I just wanted to update you on those items. Mainly the biggest thing that we've been doing, chamber merchants, that's been different this year is we've come up with committees made up of board members from both organizations and actually folks from the community as well. So I just figured I would just give you an update on what those committees are working on. So the first committee is the Beautification Committee, which are working on a beautification project for Kate Gould Park that is made to had a design create, and we need back to Jill and Dan Tobin what we're able to do going forward with that. And then the next committee is our social media marketing committee, which we've been working on some spotlight videos for members. So each Wednesday, we are featuring a different member and their business, and videoing them and putting it out onto Facebook and Instagram. This is something that we've never done before. And then we're also a new project that we've undertaken is when we have events like the scavenger hunt that we have every season, and like last year we had the Great Pumpkin Weigh-In, we collect emails from people who are mainly visitors to the town. So what we've decided to do was create a newsletter that will go out to this group of people. It's almost 800 emails that we have collected, and just let them know what's going on in Chatham, and just keep them connected to our beautiful town, and have them want to come back. So we've been doing that. That's part of the social media marketing committee. And then we have a long range planning committee, which we are working on coming up with a strategic plan for the chamber merchants moving forward. So stay tuned for that. And then the last committee is our membership committee. And one of the big undertakings of the membership committee is to offer new businesses that are coming into town a ribbon cutting ceremony. And when I did a little research with my fellow executive director colleagues in the surrounding towns, some of them, when they do this, they present the business owners with a proclamation, which I shared a sample from the town of Yarmouth with Shireen. Shireen, I don't know, were you able to share that with the other members?
I believe Jill sent it along and
Okay.
around, I believe.
So, so what we were hoping to do was to be able to present our new businesses with something similar, and it's just a recognition of the ribbon cutting. And we have done one ribbon cutting for a new business in town. We did it last Saturday. Jill was able to attend, and Shireen was there, and Dean was there, along with board members from the chamber and the merchants. And it was a great event. And I just think that the icing on the cake would be for us to be able to present to the business owners this, the town of Yarmouth calls it an official citation. And it's just welcoming the business into the community. So I wanted to see if maybe we could get that approved. We have a couple other ribbon cuttings scheduled, one for June 5th for Expressions Gallery, which is a new gallery on Main Street. And then the other one that we have on the calendar is May 21st for Odin Smith's gallery at the former Santander Bank location. So just wanted to see if maybe we could get approval on that to have those to present to those business owners. And if we could maybe present one to the women from Refashion Chatham as well, that would be great.
Okay.
And I think that's all. The other thing I wanted to share, just wanted to let you know that I noticed the call for volunteers for the website, and we shared that on our Facebook page as well for you. So just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Questions from the board for Mary? Jeff?
Yeah, more
comments?
comment than,
Yep.
more a comment than a question. I just think, Mary, you're doing a great job. I think the notion of having the citation for new businesses is wonderful. I wasn't able to get to the ribbon cutting, but I think it's ceremonial. It's acknowledging people as making an investment and putting dollars at risk, and it's a great way to get them off on the right foot. So I think it's a great idea. I would certainly support it. And I love the way you're communicating with those 800 folks. That's great marketing. It's great marketing for the chamber and the merchants and for the town as a whole. So it's great. It's leveraging social media, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, it's doing a great job. Keep up the good work, and let's have a great summer. I appreciate your time and effort. Really do.
Thank you, Jeff.
You
We
bet.
appreciate the support.
You bet.
Thanks, Jeff. Dean?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mary, Susan, and Janice for your reports tonight. I also support the idea of the proclamation. I have not seen the text. Does it call for the signature of the board chair and the town manager? I'm not sure, but
the example that I sent does call for the signature of the town administrator, and let's see. Then there's like a town seal.
Because I would suggest that what we could do tonight is have a standing vote authorizing the board, the issuance of these proclamations at the discretion of the chair of the board with the town manager, and that those two signatures be on them. And yes, I do agree that we should also send one retroactively to the Refashion Chatham entity that had the ribbon cutting last week, which was very nice. Thank you.
Great.
I'd also like that motion, if possible, that we somehow create a language that includes that any business could request that, just not through the chamber, because I think we have to be fair and equitable to marketers and people that might be doing this but don't necessarily want to be part of the chamber program. We have to be, fair in that respect. If that's okay, Dean.
I'll offer a motion to that effect, which includes the language you just, the portion that you just added.
Okay,
Yeah, I just want to add that we are offering these to new businesses when they come in, whether they're members of the chamber or not. So they don't have to be a member of the chamber in order to have a ribbon cutting. So just wanted to let you know that.
Great.
Perfect.
Thanks. Good to know that. Is there a second on Dean's motion?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Let's take a vote. Peter?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Any further comments or questions or anything for Mary before we move on? Okay, Mary, I just want to say thank you. I think you guys are doing a great job. The committees sound like they're really forward thinking, and good luck this year. Okay.
Thank you. And once again, thanks for all your support, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Great.
Thank
you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Janice, for being on the call. Okay. All right. So our next is the downtown Main Street Hallett Lane parking. A request change to temporary parking restrictions. And I believe that Katie, our Director of Community Development, had put a background in here to look at some of the areas that were they're suggesting return to normal with the exceptions of some curbside pickup spaces. Is Katie on the call? I didn't see her.
Yes, I'm here, Madam Chair.
Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Welcome.
How are you? Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the board. So as you'll recall, in the summer of 2020, it was the chamber and the merchants, I believe, had a request for some potential changes to the downtown parking areas to allow for social distancing. And so through a working group that was created, we met and created some areas for curbside pickup and eliminated some parking spaces along Main Street based on folks being able to social distance and needing to, if they needed to step off the sidewalk, they were, choke points, if you will. So that worked pretty well for last year, but the chamber has requested this year that we return all of the spaces back to normal, with the exception of the curbside pickup spaces in front of the Candy Manor and in front of Bluefin Sushi and Sake Bar. Those two businesses do a pretty good takeout. And I think it's beneficial for the other businesses to have those remain as curbside pickup. There's also one area in front of the chamber booth that we are going to recommend, or that's being requested, and that we are recommending as no parking. And that's just because of the width of the sidewalk directly in front of the chamber booth. Further down the street around Bierce's Byway, there were 2 parking spaces that had been eliminated. We are requesting or recommending that one space right in front of the Chatham Tea Shop be or put back into place, but that the one to the northwest of Bierce's Byway be eliminated permanently. And the reason for that is because of the sight lines as folks come out of Bierce's Byway. And that was a recommendation based on a site visit with myself, the Department of Public Works Director, the police chief, and the fire chief. So that is the recommended changes for Main Street. And as far as Hallett Lane goes, last year Capabilities had requested that the 2 parking spaces across from their driveway be designated for curbside pickup. And they've indicated to me that they would no longer need those for this year. So we would recommend that those go back to regular parking as well. So those are the recommended changes, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I believe Mary Kavanaugh stayed on the call, so if there's any other questions that she could answer as well, I think she'd be willing to do so.
Thank you, Katie. Questions, Peter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Katie. I agree. I went down, especially the 2 parking spaces, one in front of the Chamber of Commerce booth. That is very tight, and also on Bierce Way, I had the option to drive down through there. And you're right that the sight lines coming out on the northwest side, they're not very good. And I'd be willing to make a motion to that effect.
Okay.
But I'll wait for the board.
You can make a motion now. We can continue to discuss it, Peter, if you want.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to support the requested changes to parking along Main Street and Hallett Lane.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Jeff. And Jeff, your hand was up. Go ahead, Jeff.
It was. Yeah, it was. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just, with that motion, I would just hope that, we'll see how we do this summer and then kind of revisit the issue in the fall at some point, just to see how it went. That's all.
That's a great suggestion. Great suggestion. Any other questions for Katie or Mary? Okay, so why don't we go to vote? Okay, Peter?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Teen?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Motion passed 500. Okay, thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, our next agenda item is a discussion on the Coast Guard dockage at Mill Boatyard. We have, I think we have Mike Ryder here, our assistant harbor master. Mike, are you on the call? Maybe Dr. Bob can lead it off and then turn it over to Mike.
Okay, yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a discussion that's been going on for a couple of years between the town and the Coast Guard. As the board's aware, the Coast Guard maintains a couple of vessels at the Chatham Fish Pier, and they also maintain one vessel in the Stage Harbor area at a private marina. With the changes that have been taking place in Chatham Harbor, the Coast Guard has been looking to relocate some vessels into the Stage Harbor area, but the marina that they're currently at really isn't the best location and can't provide, all the absolute services that the Coast Guard would need, especially for more than one vessel. So we've had some discussions. Stuart Smith, Harbor Master, and others have had discussions with the Coast Guard for a couple of years now about the potential for relocating some Coast Guard vessels to a town facility. There was some discussion about this with the 90 Bridge Street project early on, but it didn't last through the project when we met with the various committees and all. The feeling that it would really take up too much space that was more appropriate for either town vessels or the public. And so in furthering those discussions, Stuart and others have been looking at some alternatives, which would basically add additional floats to the existing concrete float on the east side of the boat ramp. And we included a figure in your packet, which basically shows an aerial photo that shows the location of the two proposed floats extending off the existing concrete float along the east side adjacent to the Champlain Flats shellfish area. These would be concrete floats intended to be left in year round. They would support 2 Coast Guard vessels at this point. And as you know, there's discussions or actions going on with the Coast Guard changing the 42-foot surf boats to 45-foot response boat mediums, one of which is already in Chatham, but the Coast Guard's intent, as we know it, would be to locate 2 45s here in Stage Harbor. So that's kind of where we're at. It has been discussed with various committees because the proposal currently is to take money out of the waterway user fee, which, as you know, was a fee set up a couple of years ago to support various waterfront infrastructure projects with the concurrence of various waterways committees and the approval of the town manager. But recognizing that this is somewhat of a policy decision as well in terms of currently what's going on with the Coast Guard and the town's relationship with them, we wanted to bring it to your board for discussion and then potentially some kind of direction in terms of whether or not utilizing the waterway user fund was an appropriate place to fund this if the decision was to move forward in this vein. Similar to what the Coast Guard now does, they pay rent to the town of Chatham for the slip at the fish pier. We would charge rent for them as well at these floats and whatnot, if this was relocated to the Stage Harbor Old Mill Boatyard site. So I think with that, I don't know if Mike Ryder, I talked to Stuart a few minutes ago. Mike was going to stand in for Stuart because I believe Stuart's not available right now.
Yeah, I saw Mike's on the call and he unmuted himself. So Mike, are you available?
I am Mike. Here, Shereen. Good evening, everyone. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you don't have any further to add, unless do you have any further to add from Bob's presentation, or can we just ask you questions?
You can do that. You can just ask Shereen, I think. Bob said everything I need to say.
Okay, well, I got a couple of questions, obviously. So if these 2 floats are put in place, would we have any access to those 2 floats as the public? Would we be able to expand the dinghies on that side? Would we be able to utilize it in any manner, or would it be completely reserved for the Coast Guard?
The intention, Shereen, is that the Coast Guard would be on the southerly side of the float, and then the Harbor Master boat would be moved to the inside on the north side of that, and that would allow more dinghies to go in where the Harbor Master boat currently is now. So there would be more use for the public too.
Okay. Another question is there been any meetings after this issue came up about the downsizing of the Coast Guard station and the the redesignation of the 45s to Chatham to replace the 42? Has any of the committees discussed this or brought this up again after all these issues came up, like the waterways and South Coastal Harbor Plan?
No, there's been no further discussions with the committees recently. The committee presentations on this topic go all the way back to late 2019, early 2020, just before the pandemic hit. Stuart did send a memo to the board. I think it was in February 2020 on this topic. And then when the pandemic hit, it just, the whole thing just kind of fell by the wayside, if you will. So there's been no recent conversations.
All right. Is there any impact to the resource area? Because I didn't follow the Shellfish Advisory's vote on this.
The Shellfish Advisory Committee did have some concern about this, but given the location and the depths of water right in the immediate area, it was not felt that it would be a major concern, but they did ask that if the floats were not being used for an extended period of time, that they would be removed. I could pull up. Because I have the minutes from their meeting here.
Okay, it wasn't in the packet, so I didn't see it, but I'll take your word for it, Bob.
Yeah, and the other issue that the Coast Guard brought up was the availability of parking spaces. Obviously, parking is tight at Old Mill Boatyard in the middle of summer. So there would have to be some working together with the Coast Guard to designate, because they would want a set aside space just for them. Obviously, if they have to respond, they don't want to have to look around for a parking space. So that was another concern expressed by the Shellfish Advisory Committee.
Would they also require, maybe Mike, you can answer this too, a trailer space or just a regular space? Because there's maybe 10 spaces down in the parking lot that are for regular cars and not trailers. Do you know?
Well, I don't think they would require one, Shireen. They'd have the two big boats, the 45s, 42s, whatever they have at the time, in the water.
Yep.
And they do trailer their 24 right now, and they trailer at the Stage Harbor. And if they can't find a spot in the lot, they actually park across the street in our lot, on the grass on the side of the building. So I don't think they would need one designated just for them for that.
Okay. I guess I want to go back to the shellfish thing again, just for a second, Bob. Are these floats going to be permanently installed? Because I just know that there were some guys that used to long rake in that area, and I'm kind of concerned that in the wintertime, that's a source of income for them.
Yeah, these obviously would be permanent year-round floats, because the Coast Guard would want to maintain their boats in that area year-round to be ready if they had to respond. So yes.
So this would take away from any of the shell fishermen that are long raking there, which is, if anybody knows, long raking is off your boat with a very long rake. And in the wintertime, this is really prolific for a lot of guys to go around the harbor and just sort of rake for quahogs. All right. Now, this is the elephant in the room for me. If we go ahead and approve this right now, doesn't that give a nod to the Coast Guard that we're okay with their decision of what they're doing, and negates every effort that we might have made in trying to change up our designation? I just want to throw this to the board to see what they have to say about this. So Jeff, I know your hand was up.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Shireen. Politically,
yeah.
I think it's curious that we're having this discussion a scant week or two after we had a discussion concerning their lack of transparency and the change up in the boats. Now, I have a lot of concerns about this. In effect, we're asking ourselves to pay $355,000 for docks in Stage Harbor that I believe are not situated in the right place with the wrong kind of boats. So I'm not ready to dedicate $355,000 from our waterways fund at this moment. I would like to see a formal request from the Coast Guard saying that they would like to do this. I would like to see some kind of commitment for them to keep a boat in Stage Harbor in Chatham Harbor. Are both boats going to constantly be in Stage Harbor now? And we've got boats in Stage Harbor then that can't get around, I don't believe, can get around Morris Island. It's half tide or low tide to take care of anything that's happening at the bar. So I think we're seeding our own demise here by saying, hey, come on over to Stage Harbor. We're going to build you a dock out of our funds for $355K. And our argument about whatever else we would like to do with the Coast Guard here is now rendered moot. So I do not think this is a good move at this time. Never mind the fact that we might have shellfish there, and folks might might long right there. Our commercial fishermen might long right there. I've seen them long right there. That all being said, you know, if we're good neighbors, we do this. Well, we've been good neighbors for a long, long time with the Coast Guard here in Chatham. Have had a wonderful relationship, and it has worsened of late. So I'm not ready to vote for $355K tonight. I want to hear a formal request from the Coast Guard, if you will. I would also like to hear from our own committees. I think that we have to go revet this notion with our coastal committees and get their opinion on it as well. But you can certainly hear what I'm saying. I think we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot, given our most recent argument, from a policy perspective. And, you know, that's what I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Corey, I know you were before Jeff, and for some reason, the line was up and I didn't see your hand. So, Corey, you serve on the water as the waterway liaison to the waterways and to the Aunt Lydia's Cove Committee. What are you saying about this?
Well, for one thing, it's been quite a while since the committees have had a discussion on this, so I definitely think it would be pertinent to have them discuss it in a currently under the current conditions. I mean, I recognize our bruised relationships we have with the Coast Guard right now, and I would like to be able to remedy some of that and get the commitments we're looking for and move this forward. I do have some concern of dipping so heavily into this fund, and I admit that the conversation I had goes back quite a ways, but I had a conversation a while back with the representative of Keating's office that the interpretation I got from the conversation that there might have been something in the works that would head toward a grant funding mechanism for municipal projects that would go to first responders. And it is clear the Coast Guard is going in that direction, heavily on the first responder, active shooter type scenarios. And if this mechanism is going to be coming soon or is out there or whatever, would that be a better funding source than dip into this fund? Don't know if it exists clearly right now, but I still would like some clarity on that funding mechanism. From a policy perspective, I want to be a good neighbor with the Coast Guard. I certainly do, but I don't want to be too quick in handing certain things out unless we know what direction they will head in. Don't want to say no to this. I'd rather just put it on hold and kind of work out, let the Waterways Advisory Committee, the Coastal Harbor, Aunt Lydia's Cove, let's revisit this, kind of get an updated position, recommendations from our advisory committees, and work through this. And let's see if we can have a positive outcome on this, but I'm not ready to hand this to them quite yet.
Okay, Corey, Jean.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I echo the comments and join in the comments that Jeff and Corey just made and that you made earlier about the long rake fishermen. I was going to inquire as to whether the Coast Guard shouldn't be contributing financially to the cost of this, but maybe, as Corey suggests, there's some grant monies coming out of Washington on this. I mean, I would like to defer to our harbor master on these issues, but I think we've got these larger policy matters that we have to concern ourselves with. I wanted to also ask whether there isn't a procedural question. I don't recall what we ultimately did with the bylaw on this fund. Bob may remember, or Jill, but didn't we also include that expenditures from this fund needed to be reviewed as well by the Aunt Lydia's Cove Committee? I thought we had inserted that.
Yes, on town meeting floor was amended to add, because originally it was just the Waterways Committee, then it was amended to add the Aunt Lydia's Cove Committee and the South Coastal Committee. And then there was a proposed article last year to also add the Shellfish Advisory Committee into that. So yes.
Yeah. So the voice of the committees that did look at this occurred prior to was expressed prior to the more recent issues we're having with the postcards. So I think it probably needs to go back to all the committees, and we need to get a formal request as Jeff has outlined. So I'll support deferring action on this this evening for the opportunity to resolve these matters. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything further? Did we hear from Peter? Peter, unmute yourself, please, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I had a couple of long comments I was going to make, but I don't have to. Jeff covered it, and so did Corey. I think just to make a point, I think there is a question of whether or not you want to be a good neighbor. That's one, and at the same time be taken advantage of potentially. The important thing is we need the Coast Guard here. That's one. The part that I question again is we're going to spend $355,000. We're going to charge them $20,000. It'll be 19 years before we break even. Not that that's a requirement of that fund money, and not it doesn't represent the value that's brought by the Coast Guard. But the point is, are they going to be here 20 years from now, even 15, and hopefully they will be. So I echo my fellow select board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Jeff, final thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to add that, it would be great to have if the feds want to have a dockage in Stage Harbor, they should come up with the money. I think it's a different ask, or it's a different look if they say they would like to build onto our docking system there for $300,000 or $400,000 versus the town ponying it up. That's a little different look and a little different ask. So I would look for federal funds. Thanks.
Okay. All right. It sounds like we're going to defer this for now. I guess, Mike, do you have any further comments that you'd like to make before we send it back to the committees for discussion, and then what Jeff had said to request the Coast Guard to come forward with this?
No, I don't have any more comments, Shireen. I don't think that Stuart or I or Jason would be surprised by by what the board would like to do. So no, I don't think I have anything left to say.
Okay, well, we're going to defer this for tonight. And Mike, I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for being on the call, as well as Dr. Bob for the background.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Our next is our general obligation bond of $4,425,000 bond award. And I believe Alex has some background for us on this, or Jill. I'm not sure which one.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Alex Halala, Finance Director. Yes, tonight we're asking you to approve the bond award to Piper and Sandler Company for the bonds that we just issued, the general obligation bonds, $4,425,000. And these bonds will cover some of the projects for the wastewater sewer project, as well as the waterfront projects, specifically the fish pier and the trap dock, as well as a small amount of money for the 90 Bridge Street Engineering and Design Funds. So as background, the town manager and myself participated in a ratings call with Standard & Poor's, and we're very pleased to announce that the rating company affirmed these general obligation bonds at a AAA, which is the highest rating, and also reaffirmed our current outstanding debt with the AAA bond rating. So the highest rating that a municipality can receive. And we're very happy about that, because that does save us money in the long run with the interest rates. In your packet, I've noted, I've provided both the rating from Standard & Poor's as well as some of the opinions. And this is the second rating that we've had under COVID protocols, which very important to notice that they were very happy with our conservative budgeting and the way that we reacted to the pandemic. So moving forward with that, if there's no questions on that, I'd just like to point out that although the bonds were $4.425 million, we did receive $270,000 in a premium that is applied to reduce the amount that we need to finance. And the true interest cost of the loans after applying that premium is 1.51%. So when we project out on these projections with our debt projections at town meeting, we have always used 3% interest rate. So this is about half of that percent moving forward. So we'll update those projections in our charts in advance of town meeting.
Great.
So other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Again, very pleased to report the interest rate and the bond rating.
It's great news. Thank you so much. So we have Dean's got questions or comments first off.
Yeah, I have both. Thank you. Alex, just a question on the under the vote that's proposed. There's a payment back schedule, and they're showing interest rates at between 2 and 5%. I'm a little confused about that because I know the interest rate we're getting is 1.5%, and I know that's the actual interest rate, but I'm still puzzled by the 5% and the 4% and the 3% in that chart. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, that's actually the coupon rate. So the way that it's financed, so they have a coupon rate, and some of those are 5%. The way that it's financed, we will not accept any coupon rates above 5%, but the true interest cost, once everything's applied, is the 1.5%.
Yeah. I just really wanted, again, for the benefit of the taxpayers, just quote a couple of sentences in this summary, which I think are very important for taxpayers to know. This is on page 2. This is the document I referred to earlier. It says Chatham's general obligation bonds are eligible to be rated above the sovereign, and I believe that means the United States of America, because we believe the town can maintain better credit characteristics than the nation in a stress scenario. And then there's one other sentence on the next page. When they talk about credit overview, it says, we believe Chatham has the financial wherewithal to absorb any increases in required pension contributions and pay-as-you-go healthcare costs into the annual levy, and the town has demonstrated a willingness to increase the tax levy and, when needed, exceed the limitations of Prop 2.5 through voter-approved exclusions, and has established a dedicated funding source for the other post-employment benefits through a 1.5% surcharge on tax bills. So that goes back to the action that the select board took and the town meeting took when we repurposed one half of the former land bank surtax, and we gave the other half back to the taxpayers as a bit of a break. So I think that those are important comments. I was going to offer a motion. I see others who want to speak, but.
Why don't you offer the motion, Dean, and then we'll move forward. It's fine.
So there is a long vote that has several components of votes within it, and it's referred to in the recommendation of the staff, which I'll offer as a motion. I move that the select board award the $4,155,000 general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2021 bonds dated May 27th, 2021, parentheses, the bonds, to Piper Sandler and Company, in accordance with the terms set forth in the attached bid and in the notice of sale dated April 28th, 2021, relating to the bonds and as detailed in the attached vote of the select board.
Second.
Second from Peter. Okay. Further discussion, Jeff?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Great job, Alex and Jill, and Piper came in with a really great quote. The 1.15% is south of the current 10-year Treasury, which is running around 1.58, 1.59, 1.6. So it's a stupendous interest rate. And I echo Selectman Castro's mentioning the S&P rating earlier in our meeting tonight. It is a good read. If you like numbers, you like finance at all, if you like debt financing, it's an excellent read. And they do a great summary of the nature of the town's finances. So Selectman Castro's suggestion that it be sent to the Finance Committee and frankly it should be posted on the town's website. It is actually a very good read. So I thank you and commend you. Good job. Excellent job.
This is a good job. Yes, if you note in the summary of the credit opinions, it was due to a very strong economy, very strong town management, which is attributed to our team, Jill and to her team, as well as strong budgetary performances. So, we're all playing a part in this, but certainly this is really good news for the town. Peter?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree wholeheartedly with what everyone has said. The only comment I'd make is we take for granted in this town, at least it seems to me, that we have a AAA bond rating. And it's not an easy bar to have. And if you're any kind of investor, and I know people that all they want to do is municipal bonds, you look for, never mind AAA, AA. because the interest that you get or the coupon rate that you get on those bonds are non-taxable. So there's a benefit to the interest. But my point is, this is not easy to get. And two, we've been able to do it for a number. Our team here and our staff has done just a superb job in the finances of this town. And I just hate to think that we do take it for granted, because it's tough. It's not easy. And I commend them. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Alex, you have your hand up. So.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say that after your vote, we do have documents that are located at the town manager's office that the board will need to come in and sign. So if Sean is not available, I'll be available, and you can contact us and we'll have you sign those because we need to send those back to bond counsel.
Is there a timeliness to our signature? Should we come down this week or tomorrow, or when they pick up the packet?
Sometime before next week is good. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alex. All right. Well, we have no further hands up, so why don't we take a vote on this? So Peter?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Chair says aye. All right. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Yeah.
This was good. Great. All right. Our final agenda item before we go to convene the Affordable Housing Trust Committee is consider committee appointment for Conservation Commission. We still have 2 vacancies for an associate member of unexpired terms to June 30th, 2021, which we might want to move to June 30th, 2022. We did interview Mary Sullivan for the Conservation Commission on April 27th. And I'll suggest a motion at this time. Anybody?
Madam Chair,
Dean.
I move to appoint Mary Sullivan to the Conservation Commission as an associate member until June 30th, 2022, unless sooner revoked or a successor is appointed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, let's take a vote. Peter.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Chair says aye. All right, great. So may I get a motion to convene the Affordable Housing Trust Board of Trustees, which I don't think we have, I think we only have just us on the call, to an executive session without coming back to open session.
Yeah, so moved, Madam Chair. We do have a couple folks here. I think Megan's on and.
Megan's on, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And
They're here, both here?
Bruce is here too.
Oh, yay, Bruce. Okay, great. I should have been paying attention to the list. All right, so we have a motion.
Yeah, that was a motion.
And a second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Got it. Okay. So let's take a vote. Peter?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye, sorry.
That's okay. Bruce?
Aye.
And the chair says aye. All right, we will not be returning back to open session. So Jill, thanks to the staff that supported the meeting tonight. Yes.
Madam Chair, I think we need to take we just voted to convene the board, the trustees. I think we need to take a vote to go into executive session formally.
Oh, we took a vote.
I'm happy
Okay,
to
sorry.
offer that motion.
Thanks.
I'm happy to offer that motion.
Thank you, Dean, for keeping me straight tonight.
Well,
okay. Second.
We were challenged on this one time, so.
Yeah, we've
Great.
continued to be challenged on this. Okay.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I move that the board, that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board of Trustees go into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, taking, lease, or value of real property, parentheses, private property acquisition for affordable/attainable housing, if such discussion may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the government body, with no return to open session.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Dean?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Chair says aye. All right, we are convening in a different room. Okay, Thank you to Jill for all the team that was here tonight, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay.
Good night, Chatham.
Good night,
Good night,
Chatham.
Chatham.